All of this started because I wanted to dose no pox. Hey everybody, Reefgrrl here. Over the years, I've used timers a lot to make my life easier when it came to turning things on and off on a schedule so that I would both not forget and also to be consistent. Timers give you basic automation. I find it far too expensive to spend hundreds of dollars on a sump light just because it has a built-in timer. And the same thing for bubble scrubbing. I use a timer because I am not getting up at 4 a.m. to shut it off. Way back when, I used mechanical timers, then this power bar that had cycled outlets, and finally some digital timers that didn't end up being what I expected. When I got this timer, I expected that I would be able to plug two things in and run them on different time schedules, but as it turned out, two outlets, but one program. So that was kind of a disappointment, although I was still able to use it. And this one turned out to be extremely difficult to try and program with my head stuck in my cabinet in the dark. I often replay live streams such as from Dave's Nano Tanks when I'm doing aquarium maintenance. And it was on one of those live streams that I heard Billy Pipes talking about these power bars. They have USB outlets, which don't matter to me so much, but they also have electrical outlets with individually switched timers. The beauty is, they operate by Wi-Fi using a smart device. This is a high-quality product. The problem is, it's too big for the space I have available. So I did more searching and came up with this, the mini Wi-Fi plug. Perfect. And at this point, you're probably going, what the heck is she talking about? What on earth does this have to do with dosing no pox? I use those digital timers to control bubble scrubbing and my sump light. But when I dose no pox, I had to turn my skimmer on feed mode for 10 minutes manually because it's recommended that the skimmer be off when no pox is dosed. The solution was a compact Wi-Fi timer. Stick around and I'll show you how I set it up. There's only one in this box because I'm using the other one. I have 4 altogether and 3 are currently in use. There's an on-off switch, which does come in really handy if you do need to make a manual change. Let me show you the app, how it's set up, and how it works. Here's the main screen. It's simple to add a device, just follow the directions. I add manually because that's easier for me. One thing I will say is that at one point the timer schedule stopped working. I could not figure out what was going on. So I uninstalled the device, thinking that I would just reinstall it. I had a heck of a lot of trouble trying to get it reinstalled. It would not work. And here's the important thing. When I contacted customer service, they were amazing. They helped immediately. They were right. It was my internet connection. So I tried again a couple of days later, and I was able to get it going. Still not sure why the timer function stopped working though. And here's how a schedule is added. All you do is select what you need. It's very, very simple. Even I could do it without instructions. I couldn't believe how easy it was to get this thing up and running. I went through this process for each of the 3 devices that I wanted to control: my bubble scrubbing, my skimmer, and my sump light. And don't forget to hit save in the upper right-hand corner. I did a couple times until I figured it out. Here's what the final bubble scrubbing schedule looks like. Here's how they look in the cabinet. This one is mounted in an always-on outlet in my switched power bar. On the left-hand side, the power bar is actually mounted upside down for cord management purposes. So you can see I've used these small extension cords in order to get them plugged in. It's a little awkward, it's a little messy, but it works. Just to make sure everything worked, I stood in front of the tank at the times the bubbles were supposed to turn on and off, and I established that they worked. I did the same thing for the sump light and the same thing for the skimmer. Given that no-pox is an organic compound and Red Sea recommends the skimmer be turned off for approximately 15 to 20 minutes after dosing, I wanted to be sure that the skimmer timing would work. I use a Jebao DP4 doser, but I'm only using 3 of the 4 dosing heads at the moment. I'm going to set up head number 4 and set up the timing so the dose of no-pox goes into the tank when the skimmer is turned off. We prepared a bottle by drilling the usual hose in, hose out, and an air hole in the lid of this container, which is food grade and had iced tea in it, and it's heavy. And I had this funny feeling last night when I was dosing the no-pox because I noticed how strongly it smelled of acetone. And it occurred to me to do some research into whether this bottle would melt with no-pox in it. Then, much to my surprise and delight, when I opened the box, it comes in a dosing bottle. The lid has this little hose fitting on it, and the way it comes is with this little piece on the end of it, obviously to seal it. So I just took my handy nippers and cut that off, and then I put the tine of a fork in because, of course, the plastic was collapsed, and I managed to get it cleaned out really well. Okay, so after we nip the end off, we put the short hose up to the dosing pump. Then we need to apply another hose or tube to this end to go down inside the bottle. Because Red Sea does not include these tubes in the bottle, which kind of ticks me off because, first of all, I did not know it was a dosing bottle. And second of all, there's nothing on the box about this. And third of all, there's nothing in the product information when you buy this stuff about having to acquire other tubes if you want to use it as a dosing bottle. So I'm just going to have to work with what I have on hand, which are my trusty pipettes. So here's what I'm going to do. Cut a little bit off where I think it should be to fit over here. I cut off about 1 inch of this 5 milliliter pipette, and I'm able to push it right all the way up. Now, how far in the bottle does it have to go? Well, I'm going to have to just cut off the bottom of that pipette because it still won't reach the bottom, but that's okay. So basically, I just trimmed the bottom off so that it would rest inside the liquid. Let's just stick this in the bottle. All right. So now I'm going to go and prime the dosing pump and see if it actually does draw liquid. Okay, so here we are at the dosing pump, and you can see I've got the hose attached from the bottle to the intake of the pump head. Well, I've got my cup with my hose coiled in it, and now we're going to prime this baby. Well, there's liquid coming out of the bottle. Woohoo! All right, you can see it's going into the cup. So this is no-pox traveling from the bottle into the cup. All the air bubbles are now out. So I've passed it through this guide right here, and I'm going to attach it to the other cluster of dosing hoses that I have. I'm using a Vivid Creative Aquatics hose management piece, and you can see I've got this cluster. The no-pox dosing is right here. All right, so this is the first night. I don't have to manually dose no-pox, I hope. So we will just stand here and wait for the skimmer to shut off, and then another 5 minutes after that, no-pox should be dosed. Don't worry, I am not going to make you wait 5 minutes. I will cut out the part where there's waiting. There we go. Skimmer shut off. Now we wait for the doser to deploy. Alright, so here's the time counting up to deploy at 23:35, and the beeping you hear is the ATO because, of course, the skimmer is shut off. 42, 43, let's move over here. Let's see what happens in another couple of seconds. while the skimmer's off. Woohoo! Well now, so all of that was worth it. Now, I have to say, it was Billy Pipes who said the Wi-Fi outlet would turn your skimmer off for you. And so he was the one that put the idea in my head, and I immediately thought it was a perfect excuse to buy one of these things. So there you go. I like these Wi-Fi outlets, and I think they're reasonably reliable. Although the timer schedule did fail on 2 of them, I managed to get them back online, and since I did that, they've been working flawlessly. One thing I will point out very strongly, all of these activities are low risk. Bubble scrubbing, if it doesn't come on or go off, no big deal. No tank crash will ensue. Sump light doesn't go on or off, that's something I would notice probably right away. Skimmer, if it doesn't go on or off, so I've wasted a small dose of no-pox. As I said, these are low-risk activities. I'm not sure I would trust one of these things with anything critical, such as a heater or other types of equipment where a mistake could crash your tank or be catastrophic in other ways. And finally, I don't think I've mentioned the price yet. In Canadian dollars, $39.99 for 2 on Amazon. I think these are the cheapest timers I have ever bought. They make low-risk, basic automation not only effective, but extremely affordable.